Alrighty. This is another Tajiri League Gym Battle season series, whatever. I'm doing my ghost type gym battle today. If you guys saw the fairy part one, I didn't really feel like commentating, and there really wasn't much to commentate on. That one was also pretty much a loss. This one also started kind of weird. In the next few seconds, you're gonna experience why. If you're not used to seeing my battles or understanding some of the things that could happen during my playthroughs or whatnot, I occasionally talk about this problem a lot. And there it is. So, immediately off the gate, my switch burns out and I freak out. Normally, during the challenge, there's a couple things that happen that, you know, doesn't allow me to continue the battle and that automatically disqualifies me for win for my opponent. Thankfully, the ghost type leader was very graciously, allowing me to start over, and I completed the restart a little bit better. Now, we did agree to use the same Pokemon. We did agree to start the same since we saw what was coming out. No one really attacked yet, so it was still a pretty decent spot. Now I'm gonna say it another time. If you guys aren't used to these battles or these videos, I like to commentate during these. Normally, because some of the things that transpired in the video might need a little bit more interpretation. That in some occasions, I do have people that jump in like my streams and they saw my battles. And sometimes my brother would walk in and he'd make a little bit of noise, or there's just background noise that interferes. But this time in particular, I had a friend watching it with me, and he was commentating as I was battling. Not saying I, don't appreciate his commentaries and whatnot, but he was also just trying to gauge and see what was going on in the battle. Yeah, with me, in my opinion, I personally love all my gym battles and all my battles with a little bit more focus. Unless I'm in a multi battle, I try not to take any advice. Kind of feels like I'm cheating. I like to follow a strict honor system. Now, I don't remember if it was this gym battle or not. But one of these battles, I think I finally decided to use a secondary team. And I don't know if it started in the ghost type gym or if that started a little bit later. But as soon as we keep watching, we'll find out. Okay, the Flutter Mane goes for the normal Terra there. Perfect chance for that thing to survive. Goes with the Hyper Voice. Take the attack, which is expected. Ate the Bug Buzz as well. Yeah, for you guys who hasn't really experienced the type of battles me and my buddies do in our own server, my Mandibuzz is one thick bird. It has survived so many things and has overcome so many others. This is a big threat in our server. More specifically, I've actually trained it for our draft battles. How we do it in our servers, we have these multi-draft battles. It's pretty cool. Basically, we get a list of randomly selected Pokemon throughout the Pokedexes. Two from each. Two from the National Dex, two from the Kitakami Dex, and two from the Blueberry Dex. After we get two of each Pokemon from each Dex to complete our six, then we pair each other up with just remaining trainers that are available and ready to battle, and we just try to battle it out and see what team combos we could pull and what are the better strategies to pull within our randomly selected teams and our randomly selected partners. Now, you're only guaranteed to use 3 of the 6 Pokemon you have on you, so depending on what Pokemon you bring to the fight, all depends on you and your teammate. what combos you guys want to use, and the strategies you want to counter against. Those are important things. Okay, so we have our use of a red card. That's actually pretty smart. I actually wanted to try using a red card on Mimikyu myself, but I always put a muscle band on it because I wanted it to have a little bit more oomph when sword stance gets out. Alright, there goes the Bitter Malice. And the Mimikyu's gone. No more threats for the Shadow Sneak. Yeah, some of my bigger things, I always try to figure out when I can or when I can't switch out Pokemon. For some reason, I'm mostly on the mindset of, force my Pokemon to stay in there until they die and never really switch them out or plan to use them later. If I know that there's a certain Pokemon on the opposing team, I know that they have certain abilities or certain moves that they could use to get the upper hand on me, even if I decide to switch in. And some of these Pokemon aren't really built for taking too many attacks upon switch in, especially if they can't really fight back immediately. They're at a big risk. It's good if you have Pokemon you can swap into. Sorry, not swip. I have no idea what swip is. It's a good thing when you have Pokemon to swap into, but you also got to put into perspective, like I said, if they can take the attack. No, I'm not cheating. I just want to clarify. You can see it on my screen. I have a Hisuian Zoroark. It just got attacked. Okay, the U-turn saves the Masquerain for another day. Golden Go comes out. There goes the Dragapult. I think I had the hardest time trying to decide here. I think I went for the Blood Moon, or at least I wanted to. Definitely needed to get rid of that Golden Go, but I really wanted to hit them both at the same time. Scarfed Golden Go is crazy, man. I don't know what it is. I always try to figure it out. But apparently it's not scarfed, it's white herbed. I don't understand how Golden Go is that fast. I don't know if it was a tailwind or what. I'm trying to reanalyze the video again. But all I can chop it up to is that Golden Go is just too fast for its own good. Okay, but the battle's not over yet. Still got a couple of speedy Pokemon on my side, just like Calyrex. And I also still got my Ashura. For those of you who don't know, I named my Ashura after the character in Naruto, the first incarnation of the brothers. I just thought it was pretty cool. A lot of people like to say, Lucario's got Aura Sphere. It can Mega Evolve. Oh, it's just like Naruto in its Sage Mode. I mean, yeah, it's kind of funny. It is Fox-like, but I'm just going back to the originator, the source. Ashura was pretty tough. I admire him a lot, and I think Lucario, uh, you know, resembles him a little bit better. Alright, so we got here a little bit of a standoff. That Golden Go just got its special attack back. And here comes my Calyrex. Fortunately for this battle, actually, I really wanted it to actually have the Fairy Tera. I keep forgetting to switch it back. But ever since I gave it the Ghost Tera, I've been putting myself at a major risk. Especially right there. That scared me. That one Shadow Ball could have ended it, and I would have lost this entire match. Here, go with the Astral Barrage. They both take damage, significant damage. Even though Shadow Shield was equipped on that Necrozma, it wasn't enough to take care of an Astral Barrage, especially a Terra one. Yeah, when I started using Shadow Kali in my server, things wasn't the same. Everyone kept accusing me of using it over and over and over, and I was just like, why don't y'all just give it up? I know how to use broken Pokemon, um, but I try not to. I want to figure out what I can do with my own power with my own Pokemon. Yes, I do have my own select few that I do trust and I do like using more than others, but I do also understand that there are other Pokemon out there that are much better to use. For example, like in some of these gym battles, I've used unconventional Pokemon a lot. Now, granted, they were very helpful and useful in these battles. Um, Shoot, especially my what is it? Uh, Not Braviary, the other one, Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz in this battle was actually really pivotal. It didn't really do as much, but it set up for the rest of the turn. All right, there's the first dub there. Alrighty, we're into the second match. This one was kind of interesting. I did catch a glimpse of the rewind when I was editing here. Definitely could have made better plays. Definitely think I got outplayed. Alright, so we start off with the Volcarona Oricorio strat. In my opinion, I like these combos. It's a very interesting favorite of mine. I prefer to do it with Rabombi, but Volcarona does hit a little bit harder. Yeah, with that Dancer ability, I knew I had to get rid of that thing immediately. Plus, I didn't know if he knew exactly the kind of strategy that I normally do, but I knew that Quiver Dance was coming up in hot. I'm just glad the Focus Sash wasn't on. There we go with the Toxic, just to make sure that over time this Pokemon does take extreme damage, especially if you plans to keep it in the battle a little bit longer. Alright, there comes in the Flutter Mane. Okay, this one, again, special attack. I don't remember how I countered this or approached it. I knew with that Quiver Dance that Volcarona is still going to be a menace. And I couldn't decide who was faster or slower. I should have popped the Tailwind first and then used the Toxic. Got hit with the Fire Dance and lived it, which was great. Still got hit with the Dazzling Gleam. Not so great. Yeah, sorry, Vanna. If only you were a little bit faster. Probably wondering why I did that. Again, I probably should have hit the Flutter Mane, but if you remember from the last battle, it definitely normal Terra. So I wanted to make sure I didn't, waste a move there. Going for the Volcarona was definitely the better move I had, especially since I'm locked in with specs. The only best move I had to switch was Ursaluda. Goodness, I'm sorry I'm yawning so much, guys. Yeah, I need to get these speedsters off the field. I also needed to pull up a light screen so I could take these attacks a little bit better. Okay, I had a feeling it would go for a second quiver dance. It's trying to sweep while it's still alive. D-Gleam takes out my Grimmsnarl immediately with a crit. I believe if it didn't, I'd probably still be in. Decided to go in with Lucario here. Unfortunately, I don't have any more cover for my Zoroark, but it'll have to make do. I realized that there's a small chance that he could Terra as well. Still decided to go for it. Also didn't want to get smacked in the face by a Fiery Dance. Dazzling Gleam wouldn't have done anything to me as a steel type. It probably would still do it. But because I pulled up the light screen, we should be okay. Unfortunately, I didn't read the Fiery Dance into the Blood Moon. So that was a oopsie on me. Should have went for a Vacuum Wave. Regardless of if it would have taken it out or not. I would have just let the poison take care of it in the end. But yeah, if I Vacuum Waved right there, the Flutter Mane wouldn't have been a problem. I feel like that's a very pivotal moment in this fight that I failed at. That's probably what cost me the early victory here. Don't forget, he also still has that Calyrex in the back. But with Spiritomb on the field, this is going to make it a little bit even more difficult. Now, I do remember that that Spiritomb can use Sucker Punch. Probably should have went for the trick. But I went swinging in anyway. I wanted to lower that thing's attack. And unfortunately, it wasn't a physical attacker. Or maybe it's a mixed attacker and it was just going for a stab attack. This is when things get a little bit more frustrating. We got two Callies on the field. And I think we're about to reach a speed tie. This ability merging thing is kind of tough. Merging two abilities into one called as one. No, I never would have dreamt or believed that would have been a thing. I had one choice here. I decided to go for a bullet punch. I know I still had a... what's it called? Yeah, speed tie failed. And that was game for me. Yeah, that bullet punch was my last ditch effort to be like, alright, in the case that I don't speed tie, at least I broke a sash. That's the end of round 2, and we still got round 3 coming up. Alright, so here I am bringing in the same team again for round 3. I don't know what it was about these battles, but for some reason I thought I only was able to run the same team. Crazy enough, I managed to make it work. I don't know what it was. Maybe I just decided to lock in, but I made it work. Now, for him, there was a little something I didn't realize until after this match. not even after this match, something I realized, I think, right beforehand. There's a Pokemon on this team that shouldn't be there. Within the rule set, you're supposed to use your primary typing and one non-type, or at least one Pokemon that doesn't correlate to your gym's type. This round, he had two. Okay, so you're probably wondering what I was talking about just a second ago. Uh, that pretty much already explained it. But here's another rule set that the leaders are allowed to do. They're allowed to come into the battle with at least 5 to 6 Pokemon. So I think what happened here after you realized this, um, just decided, I'm gonna just send my Volcarona back, and I'll just bring these 5 Pokemon instead. Uh, it was still a pretty big, interesting risk. Ended up losing Grimmsnarl very early anyway, so that was immediately a dub for him in the beginning. So I had my 5 Pokemon left. Instead of going for poison, I went for the power of love. I didn't want that Paldean Tauros to go crazy, and I know what that thing is capable of. So here I go for the Terror again. Didn't want to get flamed by that Paldean Tauros. But at the same time, I also wanted to get rid of it. So I got a couple options. Still wanted to take care of that Fluttermane. I don't know why I said Masquerain. That was kind of weird. Paldean Tauros was still choked up. Went for the Tailwind. Just trying to make some tough decisions here. Couldn't really figure out what the best move was. I know I boosted up my speed, but I was trying to figure out who the bigger threat was. Still wanted to get rid of that Fluttermane. A really toxic move, see what I did there, is to put Attract and Paralysis on a Pokemon, while also confusing them. I feel like that's probably one of the most crazy and dangerous moves that a person can attempt to do on one Pokemon. Everyone has the ability to switch out a Pokemon. It'll be kind of interesting to see a person just get a kind of combo like that. What I really want to accomplish one day is to get a Pokemon that can't escape so that we block it. And we also do like some sort of Fire Spin or Whirlpool damage, while also like putting in a Paralysis and under like Infatuation. If I didn't say Confusion, maybe add a little Confusion on top. That'll be kind of sick. Going with the Water Pulse. That thing is way too risky to keep alive. I was also hoping I can go for some sort of Confusion with the Water Pulse, but it didn't obviously work. That thing had a berry as well. It's so funny. This entire recording, I've been saying Vanna. So, funny story about that. Vanna is actually my very first Vanna Buzz I had. And I put it on a Pokemon Black team. I didn't transfer that one over yet, and I ended up catching a new Mandibuzz, and instead of naming it Vanna, I named it Mandy Buzz. Don't know why it didn't register in my head, but I don't name the same Pokemon the same things. Every Pokemon I have, I name them differently. I don't know if I mentioned it in a couple videos earlier or not, but I had a couple Pokemon I started certain journeys with in like the normal game run, and I've had eggs from those Pokemon, and I allowed those eggs to be like more battle performing, more battle ready. Um, the only one that still holds true to me today is my very first Empoleon. I'm very proud of that thing. I love using it, and I hope you guys have been watching those draft battles because I definitely use it in those battles. A little shameless plug for the draft system. A little shameless plug to the Tajiri gym leaders for real. I know I haven't been talking about them as much in this video, but the ghost leader definitely gave me a run for my money. Definitely made me think a little bit more. I had to definitely lock in, especially after that second round loss. That was something. Yeah, but after this point, I think I was going on some sort of winning streak. I definitely needed to keep my head in the game because I definitely would get overconfident and would lock it a little too much sometimes. Definitely striking on the last two gym badges I still need. So, here comes one of my favorite moves, Curse. Curse has two different abilities. I think it was in Gen 3. Maybe it was Gen 1 where Curse came out, but Gen 3 was when I officially realized what it could do. Basically, if a Pokemon has Curse and it's not a Ghost type, it essentially lowers its speed, but increases its, I think, attack and defense. If you are, let me see, if you're a Ghost type, basically what it does is it puts a curse on the opposing Pokemon. And over time, it chips at your health every single turn until the Pokemon is dead. Now, doing that again like that, it definitely puts a risk on your own Pokemon because it cuts your health in half. But while it does curse, it still does chip damage to the opposing Pokemon. As you can see there, the curse is definitely having its effect on my Zoroark, and still has an effect on my Lucario. Here comes the opposing Calyrex and Annihilate. Thankfully, Astral Barrage will have no effect on my Zoroark, so I'm practically home free here. I just had to get rid of a bigger threat. Here we go with the Bullet Punch just to knock off any Focus Sashes. Astral Barrage does not work on my Calyrex because it is not a Calyrex. Ghost and Normal is probably one of the most broken types I've ever seen in my life. Can't be affected by Ghost types, can't be affected by normal types, can't be affected by fighting types. Say goodbye to Grimnay. Rage Fist also will not work because it is not Calyrex. And that is game right here. For those of you who are wondering, man, my Zoroark has taken so much damage and it still hasn't de-transformed. What's going on? Effect damage does not knock away the effects of its ability. So, yeah, that's game right there. Appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.